Hey y'all, I'm Star Connor and you're watching Franklin Boulevard Media. So, let's see. Star Connor, she grew up on 421 Fairfax Drive in Gastonia. That's a little bit close to Union Road. But I also grew up on Leonard Drive over there with my grandparents, Ross Lee Connor and Ophelia Connor. Shout out to the grandparents. I am the daughter of Keith Connor and Jamie Harris. I grew up with me and my sister Britannia, my little sister, and then my dad got married again and we grew up with Monet McLean. So, yep, we got two sisters. So growing up in Gastonia, I was a cheerleader for the Marietta Chiefs. I went to Center Baptist Church on New Hope Road. I was all things. My grandma made me be on the choir. She made me usher, everything. Ophelia was not playing. I grew up going on Sunday dinners with my grandma at her house on Leonard Drive. So a lot of y'all probably had her sweet potato pies back then. But, growing up, I went to elementary school at Robinson Elementary. Then I became a road runner at Southwest Middle School. And, of course, I went to Forest View High School. But, hey, my parents did not want me to. They are Greenway all the way. So, sorry, Dad. Yeah, I had to go to Forest View. So, growing up in high school, a lot of times our parents think they know what's best for us. Both my parents thought I should have been a nurse. I plead the fifth. I'm not going to say that. I'm joking. But no, I became a journalism because growing up in high school, I would watch Good Morning America and CNN like faithfully every night. I eat, sleep, and breathe TV, and they just wanted me to be a nurse or a lawyer, but I just knew that wasn't for me. Now, talking about high school, I'm glad that I did get to intern in high school and I just knew right then and there nursing wasn't for me. So I would say in about 10th grade, I knew that I wanted to be a journalist. I knew I wanted to be a reporter. I would say in about 10th grade because there was a time when one of my teachers had said, I probably shouldn't do that because a lot of y'all don't know that I'm deaf in my right ear. I'm fully deaf in my right ear, and some of my teachers didn't think that I would be able to pronounce or pronunciate my words, so they kind of wanted me to second guess and, reevaluate my decision of wanting to go to school to be a journalist. I said no. So that's what happened to me. So senior year, I already knew what I wanted to be, just didn't know what school. Now let's get to that. I grew up a Tar Heel. I always knew I was going to go to Chapel Hill. But boy, did I do a detour. I ended up going to a HBCU, North Carolina A&T, and that was the best decision I made. I would truly say that was the best decision because it was either Chapel Hill or A&T or Winston-Salem because they were all three accredited for journalism. I knew I wanted to be a journalist. I just didn't know what school. So I'm glad I chose A&T because looking back, Chapel Hill, I love y'all to death, but I didn't want to be a social security number. A lot of my friends that went there, they said their classes were like 300 out of one professor. I just don't think I would have been able to handle that. Going to A&T, the biggest class I had was probably 100 people in a class and to one professor. But let me tell you, if I had a bad day or just stressed out about a test, I could call my professors in the middle of the night like a mother or a grandmother or auntie. So that was one thing, being at that HBCU taught me. And then you are looking at people just like you. And I say that because no offense to the predominantly white schools, I just knew I fit better at a HBCU. And a lot of y'all probably are like, what is a HBCU? Historically Black university in college. So that's where that comes from. But talking about my journey at North Carolina A&T, so I finally got there, right? I just knew I wanted to be a journalist, just knew I was going to go in and, everything was going to be great. I was going to be on TV. No, it wasn't like that. It was not easy. You got to have some grit and some guts to be in my field, and some persistence. So talking about persistence, you got to be on point 24/7 if you wanted to be in this field, because everybody was going for the same thing. It was kind of like a competition. I'm not going to lie. But going through that helped me get to where I am today. I did a lot of internships. I even met President Obama twice, thanks to my professors. I went to a lot of different places I never think you would be able to go. I never thought I would be able to go, if it wasn't for HBCU. So that helped me get there too. Now, journalism is not an easy field, and I say this because You think it's just beauty on a camera. It's not. You got to do about 50 jobs in one take, and it's not for the weak-hearted. So, you learn that at your school, but let's get to when I graduated, because I think that's when I knew, like, do I have it or do I not? So in 2008, 2009, if you remember, it was a recession. I graduated, I didn't know what was going to happen. I was working at a shoe department store when I first graduated. And I just thought my journalism dreams were going to go down the hill. I didn't see hope because a lot of people were keeping their jobs at the time. Nobody was leaving the TV field to, give a spot to us that were graduating at that time, because a lot of people didn't know where they were going to be. So I had to humble myself and work at a shoe store for about a year. And then this is when I talk about persistence. That's when that comes into play. After sending resume tapes, I sent resume tapes overseas. I can remember applying to Alaska, Australia, China, London, anywhere, just to get a news job. It was that bad. And somebody decided to give me a chance, but it wasn't in TV. Let me get to that. So I ended up going into radio. I had to get my foot in the door wherever I could, anywhere in media. And that's where radio happened for me. I started working at Radio 1 Charlotte in 2010, right after I graduated. Like I said, I graduated 2009, so it took me a whole year just to even get that. I was the full-time producer for the Yolanda Adams Morning Show. A lot of y'all probably listened to her show. It's a nationally syndicated show on Praise back then. And I would produce her show, and then I had my own community show finally after a couple of years. But as I was producing for her national syndicated show, that opened a lot of doors for me. And I was able to cover the Grammys, BET Awards, and things like that. And when I talk about covering that, I actually got to work the red carpets. Now, when you say red carpets, what does that mean? Okay, if you ever watched, the Grammys or the Oscars or BET Awards and things, you see those reporters with the mics, interviewing the artist. I was able to do that. So that started opening my door to the on-camera work. And that started to build and build. And then I started to get recognized from different magazine companies. And then I ended up with a entertainment magazine called M-Stars out of New York. Went to New York for a little bit and worked up there with them. And then I also stayed in Brooklyn. I can remember that week. Woo, that was a change. But, if you want to get where you got to go places. And you got to just, you just got to go. So that's what I did. And then I had to learn, okay, I need to eat. I can't just, give them something that they're wanting. I still need to eat for myself while trying to still do my dreams and my goals of being somewhere on TV. So with M-Stars, I set up some kind of way for them to pay for my flights, pay for me and my trips to go to the red carpet events. And they did. They paid for me to go to the Grammys and things like that while still paying me a check. So that's how that worked. And then I got recognized. And that's when I finally got my foot in the door at a local TV station. My first local TV station, I had to go to Michigan. Now, when I talk about if you want to get somewhere, you basically have to drop everything and just do it and go by faith. Starkeisha had $300 in her pocket, and it was a credit card. I will never forget that. I only had $300 to my name on a credit card, and I took a chance. I went to Michigan, little old Alpena, Michigan, and that was my first on-air reporter job and anchor job. I went to the smallest TV market possible, Market 206. Now, Charlotte, y'all are like Market 25, Market 23, and that's where I got my foot in the door, and I finally got my foot in the door as a reporter and an anchor. And I worked there for 3 years in the snow. Whew, I will not, I don't miss that. I don't miss that at all. But that station showed me if I was going to be something or not in this field, because when I tell you that was one of the hardest things I had to do, I had to leave my family from here, from Gastonia, all the way to go to Alpena. You know how many hours that is from your family? 13 hours. In the middle of nowhere near Canada. So if you're gonna do something, you're gonna have lonely roads. You're gonna have lonely times, and I really did. I really had some lonely moments, but I knew I could do it because I knew in the back of my head I had something to prove, and I've always tried to say, okay, you remember those teachers that said you probably wouldn't be able to pronounce some of your words? Yeah, that was for them. So that's where that came from. So then after going to Michigan and serving about 3 years, I ended up in West Virginia. I ended up at an NBC station in Bluefield, West Virginia. Now, I worked there for about 2 years too. I was a reporter there. And then I finally jumped markets. So we have to jump markets for a lot of y'all that don't understand that. So if you're watching Channel 9 or WBTV or something like that, you might love a reporter and get so used to them, or an anchor. But if you notice, a lot of them leave. That's because we're jumping markets because we have contracts. Sometimes our contracts are 3 years. Sometimes our contracts are 2. Or if we resign or just want to stay, like Erica Bryant, for years. I mean, you can do that. It's just up to you. You know, if you want to grow or get bigger. So right now I'm in market 100. So I jumped from 206 to 163 to 100 now. And I'm in New Bern, North Carolina. And I work for ABC News now. ABC and Fox, that is. So I've been with New Bern, well, WCTI. So yeah, watch me on WCTI, by the way. I've been with them for about 1.5 years now. I serve a 3-year contract, but I have the ambitions that I want to eventually come back here and serve Charlotte or Winston-Salem, or the area where y'all can watch me on TV like every day and just turn and say, hey, Star. So hopefully I'm getting that. That's my goals in the next, 1.5 years or 2. Because I'm still serving in New Bern, but I want to serve here. I want to serve my own community. That is my goal. Like, I want to be that anchor where you wake up and see me on, Spectrum or WBTV or Channel 9 or, WCNC, one of those, because I did intern at WCNC. So that is my ultimate goal right now between the next 2 years, to come back here and for the Gas House to see me and, my beats be Gastonia, where I come into my own neighborhood and I know everybody and I can get a news story from you. I'm not going to get a negative one, but I'll get a positive one. But yeah, but that's my goal. But my ultimate goal, my ultimate dream is to do CNN or NBC, something national. I want to be a national correspondent. So that's my ultimate goal. But right now I'm just living the dream of anchoring and reporting. But like I said, I just want to get back here, hopefully, so y'all can see me on these screens here for a couple of years before I move on to national. So that's my goals. Other things too right now going on with me. I'm an author too as well in a book, and I talked about how the HBCU experience helped me get to where I am and my journalistic goals and being persistent. So I also am an author right now. So I'm doing a lot of things in journalism, but my ultimate goal to give back to my community of Gas House is I want to hopefully start an internship program for kids where they have like a school for technology and journalism. I want the little boys and girls that see me or watch me know that they can do it too. Know that they can come somewhere like little old Gastonia and do something and be on national screens just like I am every day. I want that. Like, I want to show them that, you can do a lot of things in journalism. You don't just have to be on camera. For the shy ones out there, you got producing, you got camera work, you got edit, you got the drones, you got technicians. It's a lot of things you can do, and you can go somewhere with this. So I do want to hopefully give back to Gas House and hopefully come and serve my community, not only on the TV screens here, but also give back with the kids and hopefully build up some kind of journalism school so that they know they can do this too. And, just that's education for them too, because journalism is definitely English language. So I had to stumble on that because it still takes me time too as well to, make sure that I'm speaking, just like helpful and proper. I mean, I don't want to speak proper, I want to talk Gas House, but no. On a serious note, sometimes we do need that guidance of like, just to get a right sentence out, or just make sure your reading levels are good. And I've always just wanted to help kids with that. So, yeah, okay. So, Tart over here asking me about the voice. Okay. So you asked me about the voice. A lot of y'all do not understand why we speak proper, or good morning, I'm Star Connor, and you're watching News Channel 12. And you have to take deep breaths like that. Or if you see my bloopers, like I've blooped a lot. We call it the fake voice. We call it the fake voices because a lot of times when we speak on TV, we do not want people to know exactly where we're from. Sometimes when I get a little happy, I get my little country accent. A lot of people ask me if I'm from Alabama. No, I'm from Gastonia. But that's where that comes from. It's called the fake voice. So Good morning, I'm Star Connor, and you're watching News Channel 12. Yeah, that's how that goes. You see how I come back to regular Star? My final words for you all is look, we all are going through things, whether they're positive or negative, but always make sure that you remember that you will eventually have a positive. And I just like to say that because a lot of us are really going through it right now. You got a lot of tough times right now. But just remember that as long as you smile, have faith, and stay positive, you're going to be positive. And even if you got to write it down, write down your goals, write down the struggle that you're having at that moment. But just make sure that you always remain positive no matter what you do.